What can health coaches do? And more specifically, can health coaches order lab tests and interpret them? It's one of the most frequent questions I get at Functional Lawyer. And today I'm going to give you my answer, some additional information, as well as what you can do about it if this is something you're planning to create in your practice. So let's jump right into it. Well, first, what do health coaches actually do? What is their job description? So they're kind of part wellness expert, part mentor, cheerleader, person, accountability buddy, and part psychological hacks or life hacks that support behavior change specialists. So they're kind of behavior change specialists. They help get people out of their ruts or change their habits just slightly or in a way that's not judgmental or that is not necessarily negative, because some people can feel a lot of shame with their current habits. They're just a cheerleader, an accountability and mentor, and they have some extra knowledge on what is good or how to prepare foods as well. And we'll jump into that as well. So that's mainly their overall 30,000-foot job description. Now, they often work with clients individually in their private practice. A lot of them work in conjunction with a doctor's office or practitioner's office. And so they often will help implement food plans that the doctor or the practitioner have prescribed or recommended for the doctor's patient, but the health coach's client. And they'll help them implement it with shopping and cooking and different ways around if they don't like certain foods, and help them think about what they can eat versus what they are no longer allowed to eat or no longer should eat. And then help them create and set goals and then take steps to reach those goals, right? But it's important that while they're doing all of that, they're staying within a health coach's scope of practice. So what is their scope of practice? Believe it or not, there is not a lot of information out there from states or from their regulatory bodies that are through state governments or boards of medicine or boards of nursing or boards of dietetics. Nobody out there is recognizing health coach as of yet at the official state level. So it's incumbent upon anybody that's calling themselves a health coach or health consultant to know what the rules are when it comes to unlicensed people dispensing medical or health and wellness information. So the health coach's scope of practice is sort of defined in the negative. So what I mean by that is we know what the scope of practice is for an MD, a DC, ND, and everybody else all the way down the line. But we don't know what a health coach's scope of practice is from states. There's some definitions out there, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But it's important that we make sure that as a health coach, you kind of take the same oath as a doctor does, that you do no harm to the person. And part of doing no harm is not going beyond your level of education, training, and experience so that you know where your limits are, right? So it would be one thing, it can be very dangerous, and I'm sure you all have this in your head already, if a health coach is ordering labs, interpreting labs, and making recommendations, but because they don't know what they don't know, they're missing red flags left and right about this person's health that could really, really either delay or totally make them go without professional licensed medical help that they need based on either the lab tests or some of their medical history that the health coach hasn't had enough training to properly interpret and then coalesce along with a health plan. So working within the scope of practice helps protect not only you from your own liability, protects the patient from their health, but you also help protect this growing field, which will eventually be huge, from having a bad image or bad name. So I'm sure we all can name or at least identify a couple of practitioners or practices that are maybe giving functional medicine a bad name. And maybe those patients have been disgruntled and then called your office after that and said, yeah, I went to Dr. So-and-so and all they did was sell me a bunch of supplements and order a bunch of lab tests, and I'm no better or worse for the wear. So long story short, we want to make sure that you're protecting yourself, you're protecting the client patient, and you are also protecting everybody else in your field as well. I don't want to be up here on another video talking about you, mentioning you by name because of something that happened where you exceeded your scope of practice, and then there was a big fallout from it. So you are there as a health coach to support your clients through a food plan prescribed by a doctor or other licensed professional. You can guide them on recipes, shopping lists, how to prepare the food, how to read nutrition labels, what to look for. You can be there as a motivator, accountability partner. We all talked about that. But again, as a health coach, there is a firm belief by me and by others in this industry, in this field, that absent any other knowledge, health coaches should not, and likely infringing upon licensed practice of medicine or dietetics, even if you order, diagnose, or assess lab tests. In other words, order a lab test, assess it, make a diagnosis, and then make recommendations from it. That is the work of medical licensed professionals, not health coaches. So you do not prescribe any nutrition plans or exercise plans or supplements or medication, right? You don't act as an expert in what you think a client should do. You're not a licensed professional. Even if you hold a license somewhere else, if you're going to call yourself a health consultant and you're an NP or an MD and you're frustrated by all the regulations and you just want to be a health consultant because somebody's selling an online course and it's super easy. A lot of these testimonials say, yeah, I switched and I gave up my license, or I'm an MD, but I'm just doing health coaching now and I'm free and I made $21,000 in 6 minutes. I mean, come on, use your heads. It's not that easy. It takes a lot of work, number one. But number two, health coaches or consultants should not be ordering labs. End of story. Now, as I mentioned, there is a lot of unknowns out there in the legal world around health coaches. It's a new term, or it's fairly new in the legal world. And so we haven't had a lot of cases, or we haven't had a lot of decisions made, or any kind of, we haven't had a lot of activity from regulatory agencies, and legislatures definitely aren't even talking about health coaches yet. So there is some gray area. And what I will tell you, as I usually say in most of my content, is that there's risk there. If you want to be on the safe side of the risk, don't order lab tests. Don't review lab tests and make recommendations based off of those. If you do, just recognize that you're probably practicing unlicensed practice of nursing or medicine or dietetics or all three. We don't know what the prosecution is going to look like. We don't know how much they're enforcing this or what the penalties may be at this point in time. But like I said earlier, I don't want to be up here telling your story. So use your own judgment, use your own risk tolerance level as a guide. But just know legally, as it stands right now, health coaches should not be ordering tests or labs. And it's not just me. If you go talk to the Functional Medicine Coaching Academy, or there is now a national certification body that kind of certifies the graduates of that school, and I'm sure many others, they will tell you much the same thing. Health coaches are there as a support, as kind of a cheerleader or a trusted someone that's gone before and is now teaching her ways or his ways. But any kind of ordering, definitely, or interpreting, definitely, or recommending, prescribing, even though it's not prescription, but you're prescribing a health or wellness plan, definitely crosses the line into the practice of medicine. So I would think twice or talk to an attorney before you set up your practice or go and expand as a consultant practice. Not that it can't be done, but it's very tough for licensed professionals to shed their label and then just be a cheerleader, just be a, hey, this is how you make Swiss chard, or this is how you add more protein into your diet, or this is how you get more leafy greens in there so that you can stomach them, no pun intended. So stay safe out there, assess your risk. If you're a health coach, stay within your scope. That protects you, your own liability. It protects the client from physical harm and emotional harm too. And it protects the entire field as well, so that this doesn't become this so that it does become a really professional level of the healthcare team, because health coaches do have a lot to offer, both taking the weight off of personalized lifestyle medicine doctors and physicians and other practitioners, as well as adding a lot of benefits to the patient client. So stay safe out there. If you have questions about your health coaching business or adding a health coach to your medical practice, reach out to us at Functional Lawyer, and we'll see you in the next video.